Very good morning, everyone.
Very good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning. Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
Yeah. So, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, what is the next that we are supposed to do?
The prime of Miss John Brody, sir. Jean Brody.
Yeah. Have any one of you read about that?
I watched the movie, sir, but not have not read the novel yet.
Okay. Okay. So, talking about this novel. Okay. The Prime of Miss Jean Brody is written by Muriel Spark. So, you find that if we Muriel Spark was born in Edinburgh to a Jewish father and Presbyterian mother. Muriel Spark is that is how Muriel Spark is was herself raised as a a Presbyterian, and from 1923 to 1935 she attended the James School for Girls and a model for the Marcia Blaine School featured in the prime of Miss Jean Brody. Going on from there to teach English and then to work as a secretary in the department store. In 1937, Muriel married Sidney Oswald Spark and moved with him to southern Rhodesia, and now which is known as Zimbabwe right now. And but soon, he discovered that Sydney was manic depressive and prone to violence, and consequently, you find Muriel left both her husband and newborn son Robin in 1940 and returned to United Kingdom in 1944, where she worked in the military intelligence. Jewish is, yeah, anybody who can answer Dharitri's question, what is a Jewish? Jewish is a community.
Hel-
Yes, Monica.
Jewish is a religion in which like peoples are Jew. It was one of the Abrahamic religions, like the base of Christianity and Islam. It was before them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Judaism is the religion and the way of life of Jewish people, and this is one of the oldest of the monotheistic uh, theistic faiths in the Abrahamic tradition, which include Christianity and Islam. Am I clear, Dharitri?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, and yes, she went to UK and she started working with military intelligence, and later you find yeah, later you find though she began, writing seriously thereafter, writing primarily poetry and literary criticism. It wasn't until after her conversation to the Roman Catholicism in 1957 that spark, developed the scope of vision uh, necessary to begin writing novels. And while living in London, she wrote and published her first, The Comforters, which was published in 1957, and the proceeds from which freed Spark to pursue writing full time. So following several warmly received work which came in 1961, the prime of Miss Jean Rudy was which secured Spark's fame, and which is largely considered today to be her masterpiece. So Spark would go on to live in New York City and then Rome, where in 1968 she met her lifelong friend, the artist Penelope, with whom she settled in the Tuscan village in China, and later where the two would spend the rest of their lives together until Spark's death in 2006. So for her literary achievement, Spark received many awards and honors, including the James Tate Black Memorial Prize for her novel, the Mandib- Mandelbone Gate, which was published in 1965, and the Golden Pen Award in 1998, and even the 8 honorary degrees, and one from which was one of which is from the University of Oxford. So you find the prime of Miss Jean Rudy is, although published in 1961, is set. This novel is set in the 1930s and is especially preoccupied with the, you know, fascist governments that came to power during this period, and in the decade leading up to World War II, those led by you know Mussolini in Italy, Hitler in Germany, Franco in Spain, and then you find these governments were authoritarian, nationalistic, right wing, and you find after the collapse of the fascist Italy and Nazi Germany, intellectuals in liberal democracies found themselves deeply troubled by the question of how such states could arise in the first place, and as well as by the question of how commonplace people could become um, become enthusiastically loyal to such states, even to the death. So, indeed, you find these questions make up part of Spark's area of inquiry in her novel, and Miss Broody, herself is excited by what she witnessed in the fascist Italy and the efficiency and the patriotism of all. The novel suggests that her influence over the broody girls is troublingly similar to Muslin's influence over his fascist. So you find, are you all getting me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So basically, this novel was published in 1961, and this was, post-war British fiction. So, and you find the genre is basically built on strong comedy of manners. Excuse me for a minute. Yeah. So you find the setting was done in and around Edinburgh, which is in Scotland, and uh, so if we see the characters, have you any one of you who know the characters? Who are the characters?
Yes, sir.
No one.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, Mazda. Who's the protagonist?
Uh, we have Jane Brody, Sandy Stranger, Rose Stanley, Mary
No, I'm talking about the protagonist,
Jane Brody.
Jane Brody. Okay, please do tell something about her. What do you know?
Uh, well, I can read what took some notes of her. She thinks she's a Providence, and thought Sandy. She thinks um, she's the god of Calvin. In some way, she's in her prime. She draws her chosen few to herself. She understands that God draw the elect to their salvation. With regard to religion, Miss Brodie was not in any doubt. She let everyone know she was in no doubt that God was on her side, whatever her course, and so she experienced no difficulty or sense of hypocrisy in worship, while at the same time she went to bed with the singing master, feeling herself fated one way or another. So Brody acts as if she transcends morality.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we find, Miss Broody, with her dark, Roman profile, is a charismatic but very unorthodox teacher at the Blaine Junior School. And she doesn't instruct her girls in history and arithmetic, says, so much as she shares with them poetry, makeup tips, and the virtue of fascism, her own romantic history and the like. Although she's a woman of culture and even has something of an artistic nature. But Miss Broody can also be dogmatic, manipulative, and even cruel, and just as the predestining God of Calvinism. Just a minute. Uh, Please excuse me for a minute. I'll be back.
Sir,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to change the network, so that is why I had to. Yeah, so y- so Miss Broody, you find Miss Broody's power over those around her, not just her pupils, but also the men in her life, stems in part from her feelings and that she is in her prime, and that is at the height of her charisma, both sexual and otherwise. So, if I indeed she loves the plain. Um, Blaine, art teacher, and Mr. Lloyd, and you find he loves her, and but as he is married, Miss Broody renounces her love for her and becoming intimate instead with the singing teacher, Mr. Lowther. Nonetheless, she subtly grooms the instinctual Rose Stanley to have a love affair with Mr. Lloyd as her proxy, and she grooms, her favorite, the insightful Sandy, to serve as her informant in regards to the affair. So in this way, you find Miss Broody plays God, determining the course of fate, and but in the end, you find all of Miss Broody's plot go, average, and it is. And then you find that Sandy not it is Sandy not Rose who ends up sleeping with Mr. Lloyd, and it is Sandy who betrays Miss Broody to blame headmistress for Miss Broody is in her enthusiasm for fascism encouraged a Blaine student named Joyce Emily to fight in the Spanish Civil War, and so it is that Miss Broody is forced into retirement. A pale memory in minds of her special girl, save Sandy, and who both recognizes that Miss Broody had an enlarging effect on her, but also doubts whether Miss Broody was worthy of her loyalty. So this is all about Miss Broody, the protagonist. Am I clear? Hello.
yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now moving on to the next character, that is Sandy. Anyone who can talk about Sandy, who can introduce Sandy? Preeti?
Yes, sir. Uh, Sandy was one of the group that the Broody set that Miss Broody. Yes, sir. Am I
Yeah,
not
yeah.
audible?
Yes, you
I'm
are audible.
audible, right? So Sandy was
Yes.
one of. Uh,
Yeah, continue.
okay, she was one of the Broody set with a few others, and Rose was another person with her, and she later in life means I haven't read the story properly, so I'm going to tell it in bits and pieces whatever I can recall. So she was the one who changed her name and she became a nun
Okay.
later on in life. So during her interaction or during her schooling days she met Miss Broody, and how she joined as the Broody said, but later on she started developing some doubts about Miss Broody, and as you had just said that she felt that Miss Broody felt godlike when she kind of gave lectures in the class, and she somehow tried to have her influence all over their lives, even on their personal lives. So that is why maybe she later on she gave Miss Broody away, declaring that she was a fascist, and which led to Miss Broody being asked to leave the school. That is all means I
Okay.
can think of.
Okay, no problem. Mazda, would you like to add something to that?
Yes, sir. Sandy Stranger, she was Miss Brody, like a special confident, and she was characterized as having small, almost non-existing eyes and a peering gaze. Miss Brody always repeated that and she reminds her that she has insight but no instinct. And Sandy, she rejects Calvinism, reacting against it, rigid predestination in favor of Catholicism. So she refuses some of Mr. Brody's thoughts, and there's a kind of rebel against her.
Okay. Yeah, correct. Anybody else would like to add?
Sir,
Anybody else? Yeah.
during the period of Mussolini and Hitler, some people there were anti-Jewish, and some people they were sympathizing with Jewish. So I think this was among the main themes in this story.
Yeah. So, if we see that, you know, um, this character, Sandy, is a small-eyed member of the Broody set. So, Miss Broody is, favorite and most intimate. And Sandy is highly, imaginative, deeply interested in analyzing the human behavior. When she has got insight, as Miss Broody, tells her, and she becomes deeply, even obsessively interested in Broody's love. Yeah. So and she becomes as you see, but if you see that she becomes, as I said, very deeply, very obsessively interested in Miss Brody's love affair, and so far, to create fictionalized accounts of them with her best friend Jenny, you know when the two are only young girls. But fiction later, becomes facts when in her 18th year, Sandy, seduces Miss Brody's beloved Mr. Lloyd, and in part, because she is interested in her obsession with Miss Broody, and with his romantic, um, uh, you find uh, approach, you find thereby, becoming her teacher's proxy in the affair. And you find Sandy also, betrays at last, Miss Broody, suggesting as that she does to the Blaine headmistress, Miss Mackay, that Miss Brody's interest in fascism may lead to, providing, forcing her to retire. So you find this is how, Sandy has been presented by the author. And then Rose Stanley is Rose is another member of the Brody set, and an appealing, you know uh, blonde, that is for famous for sex in her later years at the Marcia Blaine School, even though has no, curiosity about sex whatsoever, never talks about sex, and does not indulge in hope that Rose, along with Sandy, will prove to be, to be the creamy de la creamy, like, which is said in the text of her pupils, and claims that Rose herself has instinct, a quality that she admires in her. So you find a need when Rose begins, modeling for Mr. Lloyd's portrait. Miss Broody, gets it into her head that the girl will, have a love affair with him as her, and Miss Broody is, proxy, and she plans for this to come, about, but it never does. So for Mr. Lloyd has, no sexual interest in Rose, and Rose merely, poses for him because she needs, the money to refund her addiction to the cinema, the movies. And after graduating from Blaine, Rose, marries well, and in contrast to Sandy, shakes off Miss Broody's, influence as a dog shakes pond water, from its coat. And then we have all these. These are some of the, major characters. Even Mary, you see, is also a member of the Broody set and is considered by everyone at Blaine, for from Miss Lockhart to Miss Broody herself to be rather stupid and disagreeable, and she is Miss Broody's, scapegoat, the girl who blames everything on, and even Sandy, treats her in a very cruel way. And the other characters which are there are all the minor characters. The minor characters are Jenny Gray. Then we have this. Then we have Gardiner, then Mr. Teddy Lloyd, Mr. Gordon Lowther, Miss McKay. Then we have Miss Lockhart, Joyce Emily, Hammond, Miss Ellen, and Ellison Kerr, Miss Gaunt, Hug. So all All these are the major characters, and the minor characters are Monica and the three Andrews. So all these are the characters. Do you want any more, important characters to be discussed, or shall we go to the plot? Are you all able
No,
to
sir,
hear me?
it's
Hello.
okay. We can move to the plot, sir.
Okay. So yeah, so we see in the early 1930s that the Marcia Blaine School, which is located in Edinburgh, Scotland, is a class of 10 years old girls begins 2 years of instruction with Miss Broody, Jean Broody, who's a charismatic teacher at a junior school who claims again and again to be in her prime, and she provides her pupils, students, with an energetic, if unorthodox education and unauthorized topics as various as poetry, makeup, Italian fascism, and her own love life, believing that goodness, truth and beauty are the supreme value, and that the arts hold a higher face than the sciences. So in time, Miss Broody singles out six girls as special to her, who she intends to mold into the cream de la cream. Sandy Stranger, Rose Stanley, Mary, Jenny Gray, Monica Douglas, and then Gardiner. So these girls come to be known as the Broody set, whom Miss Broody culturally develops and confines in. And however, you find in one of the novel's characteristic propels, which talks about, we learn that one of these girls will eventually betray Miss Broody through Miss Broody, never, although she never learns about it. And the girls other teachers at the school are the art teacher, the handsome, sophisticated Mr. Teddy Lloyd, who's a Roman Catholic who lost his arm during the World War One, and as well as the singing master, the short-legged and the long-bodied Mr. Gordon Lowther. So both of these men come to love Miss Broody, but Miss Broody is passionate only about Teddy Lloyd, whom she uh, commends for his artistic nature. So the two kiss once, and as witnessed by Monica, but Miss Broody, soon renounces her love for Teddy Lloyd, and as he is married with six children. But instead, she commences an affair with the unmarried Mr. Lowther during a 2 week leave of absence. And meanwhile, you find the highly imaginative, psychologically, penetrating Sandy becomes increasingly obsessed with Miss Broody's love life, going so far as to imagine her teacher having sexual intercourse. And at one point, you find in their 2 years in the junior school, Sandy's best friend Jenny is accosted by a man exposing his genitals to her near the water of Leith. Just a minute. Yeah. So you find, you find during that point of time, an incident was investigated by a female police woman. So Sandy falls in love with the idea of this police woman and imagines that she is on the police force alongside her with the purpose of, preventing sex altogether. So she also imagines that she and her invented police woman should investigate the love affair between Miss Broody and Mr. Lowther. So at the age of 12, the girls, leave Miss Broody's class and graduate to the senior school, taught by the teachers like the excellent science instructor Miss Lockhart, and all of them who are committed to the authorized curriculum as Miss Broody was not, but nonetheless you find the girls retain their group identity as Broody said, even though they have nothing in common, save being, picked out by Miss Broody, and whom they visit, extra curricularly as they did as a student at the junior school, going with her to the ballet and the like. So the headmistress of Blaine, Miss Mackay, has all the while been fostering a professional disapproval of Miss Broody's educational methods and scorn, and for the identity, the group identity of her six special girls. She wishes Miss Broody, would leave Blaine and and then you find that the sisters, Miss Ellen and Alison Kerr, being, to work as housekeepers for Mr. Lowther and encroach on Miss Broody's exclusive claim to him. And she asserts her influence by coming to Mr. Lowther's house whenever, the Kerr sisters, and there, so that, she can oversee them. And she, tries to criticize them for, skimping, on their employees' meals, and sets sets about fattening Mr. Lowthers up, and she also begins to invite her special girls, now 13 years old, so to socialize with her in pair at her Palmer's house, and she asks them often about Mr. Lloyd for several of the girls, especially Rose Stanley, who have begun to sit for portraits with their art teacher. And Miss Broody especially enjoys hearing about how each face Mr. Lloyd paints strangely resembles her own. And one day you find in Mr. Lloyd's studio, Stanley points this fact out to Mr. Lloyd himself, glaring at him insolently. Mr. Lloyd kisses the young girl, and she doesn't know what to think about it. So you find, as the girl grow, from 13 to 14, 14 to 15, Miss Broody determines that she can trust Sandy absolutely as her informant and confidant. And you find Miss Broody is also becoming increasingly fixated on the idea that Rose, as the most instinctual of the Broody set and famous for sex, should have a love affair with Mr. Lloyd as her, and Miss Broody as proxy. So you find Miss Brody additionally, plans on Sandy's, being her informant regarding the affair. Indeed, so fixated does Miss Brody, becomes on the strange plan that she neglects Mr. Lowther, who, to everyone's surprise, soon becomes engaged to the senior school science instructor, Miss Lockhart. So during this time, we find another girl, the rather mad, Joyce Emily Hammond, is sent by her rich parents to Blaine as a last resort. Okay, Basu. And then what happens? She desperately, wants to attach herself to the Broody set, but they won't have anything to do with her. So Miss Broody, however, will, and she spends time with Joyce Emily one on one, and privately, encourages her in her desire to run away in the fight in the Spanish Civil War under Franco's nationalist banner. And swiftly and shockingly, Joyce Emily's does not, only to be killed when the train, she is traveling is in attack. And the school, holds a remembrance service for her. So you find Miss Brody, the Brody girls, just a bit. Yeah, then you find the Booty girls have turned 17, and upon entering their final year at Blaine, begins a drift apart, and Mary and Jenny Grieve leave before taking their final exams, and Mary to become a typist, Jenny to enroll at the School of Dramatic Art, Monica, becomes a scientist, and Gardner becomes a nurse and marries a doctor. And Rose makes a good marriage and easily, shakes off Miss Brody's influence. And Sandy, decides to pursue psychology. So during this period, both Sandy and Rose are now, 18 years at age and continue to go to Mr. Lloyd's house to model for them. And one day alone with Mr. Lloyd, with his wife and children, are on holidays. Sandy, commences a love affair with him. Uh, uh, Surprising, Rose's role in Miss Brody's plan. And you find the two, carry on for 5 weeks during the summer, and even once Mr. Lloyd's wife and children return home. But by the end of the year, Sandy, loses interest in Mr. Lloyd's as a man and becoming, more and more exclusively interested in his painter's mind, as well as his obsessions with Mr. Broody, as it is documented in his canvases. So she eventually, leaves Teddy along altogether, but makes with her his own, Roman Catholic beliefs. And the following, you find the autumn, Sandy approaches Miss Mackay and announces for, reasons never which made explicit that she is interested in putting a stop to Miss Broody, and she tells, Miss Mackay about Miss Brody's, a side interest in, fascist politics, and suggests that, by following up on this lead, Miss Mackay will at least, at last will have the incriminating device evidences that she needs to dismiss Miss Brody. And in need, you see, presumably connecting Miss Broody to Joyce Emily's running away. Miss Mackay, at last succeeds in forcing, Miss Broody to retire, and Sandy's, betrayal in is complete. And it won't be, until the end of World War II, when she is, near death, and that Miss Broody, can bring herself to think that it was her most intimate, confident Sandy who betrayed her. So by the middle age, you find Sandy is the author of a famous psychological treatise entitled "The Transfiguration of the Commonplace," and she is also a Roman Catholic nun called Saint Helena of the Transfiguration. So, over the years, she received several visitors at her convent, and mostly broody girls, and invariably conversation turns to Miss Broody. Sandy, suggests that Miss Broody was silly, but also an enlarging presence. Yet, she also suggests that she nor any other broody girls, would Miss Broody any loyalty. So one day, a young man comes to the convent to interview Sandy about a famous work in psychology, asking her at one point, "What were the main influences of your school days, Sister Helena?" And were these literary or political or personal? Was it, Calvinism? And Sandy responds to it saying that there was a Miss Jean Broody in her prime, and it would seem that she, of all the Broody set, was most deeply influenced by the strange charismatic teacher. So this is all about the plot. Hello.
Yes, sir,
Yes,
you're audible, sir.
So could you tell me what could be the the themes that the authoress tried to focus in this novel? Hello, Uttara.
Hello.
Yeah, Uttara. Yes. Okay. Shri.
Um,
Shri has
this
raised
is
the
more.
hand. Yes, Shri.
Sir, here we see in the story of the prime of Jean Brody the themes
Can you be
of.
a little louder? I can't hear you.
Hello, is it better now, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, in the novel The Prime of Jean Brody, we see the themes of loyalty and betrayal. Uh, so, from Sandy's perspective, she was once very loyal to
Mm-hmm.
Miss Brody. However, due to her own change of thoughts and judging the right and wrong in her own way, she kind of betrayed Miss Brody later. So that is one of the themes.
Yes, correct.
Also, manipulation or influence has also can be depicted as one of the themes, that how Miss Jeannie would try to have the set of students molded as per her aspirations of how they should be, uh, could be one of the themes as well.
Okay. Anybody else? Uttara? Yes.
So it's about it may be about the social kind of a peer pressure during your young age, like how there is this group of girls and how a teacher can be, an influential figure during your that age of your life, like how students, look up to their teacher, and when she started influencing them, it become it the from our admiration it become a dominance, or then, or we can say that how she started manipulating and, you know influencing more into a bad path. And you also constantly see this world war phases theories and or ideologies and how it was prevailing there. So you can also get to know about the background of whatever happening during those days. So the religion constantly, Sandy is having the dilemma of, she was having this Catholic beliefs and the faces, the John Brody's, Jean Brody's. There is this religious aspect is, playing an important role, and she eventually becomes a nun. So this is all I can understand, sir.
Okay. Babita?
Thank
Babita, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, more of the part is covered. It's a similar thing only.
That's a very, uh, so many themes are discussed. So many themes that, you can draw from this novel. Babita, you haven't read this, right?
No, sir. I have the gist of this, but most of the things like how I mean a teacher is a role model. So, however, if a teacher has a good influence on the students, on her pupils, on her disciples, whatever you say, so she can make or break the future. So here, Miss Goody was very, very influential on all her students. That's a main thing, and with other, parts of World War was also covered. I mean, similar thing only, sir. I haven't read it in details. So,
Okay, okay. Tanushri, you want to say something?
Sir, I have not read the novel, but though what I understood that it's like a difference between education and infiltration, like putting my personal opinion in the formative years of that education. So
Yes,
I
correct,
think
correct.
uh, I think the base of this novel is the stand on the particular theme that education versus the uh, infiltration or penetration, whatever I can say.
Okay. Uttara?
There is also the constant stress on the prime, the age factor, like how Miss Brady never
Yes.
got married, if I'm not wrong. She got never got married, and she always stresses on the fact that this is the age you can do a lot of things. The prime, she calls the prime the age, and like in the end of the novel, Sandy will say to that reporter or whoever that person is interviewing her that what made her the influence. It's the prime of Miss John Brody. It maybe they're trying to connect one,
Hmm.
that important age, that particular age you go through while growing up, because you constantly see that the mention of the prime age, the mention of that you will be in your top during those prime age. Even the Miss Broody, I watched the movie, so she always constantly stressed the girls on those parts. Thank you, sir.
Okay, yes, Mazda.
Yes, sir. The main themes, I think, they are private school education and how the
Mazda.
teachers manipulate. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Am I audible? So the private school education and how teachers they manipulate the girls, like in the way they impose on them how to walk, how to dress up, how to speak, and giving this special. Oh, okay. I said the private school education. Can you hear me?
Okay.
And I said the teachers how they manipulate the girls, the students, and they try to teach them how to walk, how to speak, how to dress up like young ladies.
What else? Married. They were not
No,
married,
I'm talking
right?
about yes, I'm talking about Miss Brody, how she teaches her students
Just a
the way
minute,
to
just a
behave.
yeah, yeah. Tell me, Mazda. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Should I repeat what I said? Am I audible?
yeah, yeah. Please come again. Huh?
Yes. I said the private school education and how the teachers influence their students, manipulating
Yeah,
them, and
yes,
how they
correct,
teach
correct.
them the way, yes, the way they should behave, how they walk, how they speak, they dress up like young ladies, as if they are preparing them for marriage. Uh, Also, the sexual maturation
Hmm.
um,
No, another thing
with
is,
Sandy and
these girls who were studying, these girls who were studying in school, they were
Sir, you're not audible.
not married, so they were in their, they were all spinsters. So you can talk.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, so I was talking
So,
about,
so
the
you are the
spinsterhood.
network problem, ma'am.
Probably because my network is a little bit today fluctuating. Um,
Yes, sir. I said
so I
this.
was,
The
I was,
second.
yeah, I was talking about education. I was talking about spinsterhood. The sexuality which has been, um, uh, which the author has tried to put forth. The uh, prime, one's prime, which already somebody had said. So all these were, the some of the themes that the author has tried to show. So what are the symbols that you see? There are two
the
major symbols that you see. Yes.
the teacher of art, the teacher of art,
Yes, the
and
yeah, the portrait,
how
Mr.
he's
Ted
portraying.
Ted
Yes, he's portraying women and girls, like young girls, when
Lloyd's portrait.
yes, how he's portraying this.
That's correct,
This
correct.
yes,
And
this
even the
reflect.
book, which Sandy had written. Even the
Yes,
book
sir.
which
But
Sandy had written.
what I think about is that these portraits, they reflect the thought of Calvinism.
What come again?
I said the portraits he's
Yeah,
making
yeah.
reflects these thoughts of Calvinism.
Hello, hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, no, sorry, Mazda, I couldn't get you the last thing that you said.
I said the portraits of this artist reflects the thought of Calvinism, as the Calvinism is the Reformed Christianity, and they have a special belief. It's a branch of Protestantism. So it was prevailing at that time, and there is a conflict between Christianity and fascism. Mhm.
I do not know.
Conflict between
Hello,
Christianity and
Sir, what is
hello.
Calvinism like? How does it differ from Christianity?
Uttara, what did you say? Hello.
So, what is Calvinistic? Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
What is Calvinistic theory they are trying to say here, sir? Like, what is the difference between Christianity and Calvinism?
Oh, this is Calvinism is a part of Protestant, the Christianity Protestants, and which follows the theological tradition and the forms of Christian practice, which was set by John Calvin. It talks
Okay, okay,
about
sir.
more
Thank you.
of the sovereignty of God and the authority of the Bible. Okay. Okay, so I think you can read this text, and If you find this text to be difficult, you can leave this question. Needn't worry that because you have to answer any five only. So choose the best five, study that, and the rest also study and go, so that if you find anything very difficult question from the five that you have read, you can attend the other one. Yes, Uttara?
This question asked in the assignment, like, what is the narrative technique of Mural Sparks work? So, or Miss Jean Brody. So, can you tell me what is the
Yes.
explain us what is the narrative technique used?
So you can talk about the narrative structure, the early 20th century Edinburgh, the influence of Calvinism, which is a branch of Protestantism, and was, warning. And Calvinists believed that the human beings are so inherently and, absolutely corrupted by the original sins. And you can talk about that, and then you can talk about, how Miss Broody, reacts violently against the doctrine of predestination by the, you know, uh, aspiring, the gods function herself, and she elects, six of her pupils to be her special girls. And there you can also talk about, you know, how, you know, Stanley to sleep with Mr. Lloyd as her proxy, and she's in her sense a maker of plots, just like the Delft novelist, Muriel Spark, writing about her. And you can talk about the narrative structure of the novel, which is, full of um, prolapses, which so that the present events are juxtaposed, and related future events, and these juxtapositions often contrast Miss Brody's plan and expectations with the reality that comes to pass. So, for example, though Miss Broody discusses her deep devotion to her girls, and the need for absolute loyalty, the reader knows almost from the beginning of the novel that one of these girls will ultimately betray her. And in this way, the narrative creates the ironic tension between Miss Broody, predestining, and the actual destiny itself. So all these things you can put in the narrative techniques.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I think we can end today's class here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, and all the best for your
Thank you,
upcoming
sir.
exams.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.